Thank you, Norm. I trained you well. You said really nice things like you were supposed to. That's what we planned, and you carried it out beautifully, like you do everything else. I did want to also thank Billy for his being an MC tonight, and let him know that when I followed him at Northwestern, graduating several years after he did, he was still a legend on the campus. And when I saw the video for the first time here, it brought a few tears to my eyes because I was wondering what they're going to call me for tomorrow. But in any event, I want to thank everybody. It was really heartfelt, and I've loved working with all of them. And especially Jeff, who I have known for over 25 years through thick and thin. And he has taught me so much about fundraising and the LGBT community. And what is so nice today, 25 years later, is I never have to ask any of you for money again. So it is indeed an honor to receive the Doug Jones Award. Douglas always thought that he was very fortunate and was devoted to the LGBT causes professionally and personally. As a partner in Milbank Tweed, he was instrumental in making it one of the first law firms to provide health care and other benefits to same-sex partners. He also served on many boards, but his last board was the Pride Agenda. In fact, my most recent involvement with Pride Agenda began when Alan Van Capel called me soon after Doug's death to tell me that he and the board wanted to name Pride Agenda's annual award in his honor. A few months later, Alan called to ask if I would be interested in joining the Pride Agenda board. I think he thought that I would bring the same gentlemanly, diplomatic, and nurturing manner that Doug did. He was quite surprised and I think shocked, but we've still remained very good friends, and he's still a mentor to me. It is also a particularly good honor to be awarded this evening with Chris Quinn. She also has a connection with Doug, as he was on the board of the Anti-Violence Project when she was its executive director. As Speaker of the City Council, Chris worked tirelessly on LGBT issues, and there's probably not a single LGBT organization that did not benefit from her support and leadership. As I reviewed my life tonight to come up with something to say, and there's been a lot of it, I marvel, like Doug, at how fortunate I have been, personally, in particular, to witness what our community and our allies have accomplished over the last 25 years. When I became involved with GMHC in 1989, AIDS was devastating our community. And our community rose and united to take care of our own. I am still in awe of the volunteers and staff of GMHC, straight and gay, who gave their time, resources, and in some cases, literally their lives, to take care of those trying to survive with AIDS. Their passion and compassion always inspired me. I do not look back on those days with nostalgia, but rather with pride that our community mobilized and created the foundation for the incredible evolution that has occurred today, with over 30 states embracing, some less tightly than others, marriage equality. In 1990, there were no statewide civil rights protections for any members of the LGBT community. Many hospitals would not let partners visit their AIDS-affected loved ones, and most of the iconic organizations of today were mere glints in the eyes of their visionary leaders, as with the case of God's Love, which was started by Ganga Stone riding her bicycle to deliver food to people with AIDS. The AIDS crisis, which still continues for many people, made our community realize what we could accomplish when we organized and set our goals for full equality and justice. Pride Agenda led the fight for equal rights and achieved it for the LGBTs, but it continues to fight for the rights of the trans community, facing annually the shamefulness of some of our elected officials who refuse to help all New Yorkers have equal rights under the law. Marriage equality was not something anyone thought could happen in 1990. except perhaps for Evan Wolfson, who I believe he graduated from the greatest law school in the world a few years before me. He wrote his third-year paper setting out the constitutional basis for marriage equality, which was followed by the Supreme Court, I suppose, after reading his third-year paper. For many in our generation, marriage equality did not seem like a realistic goal. After Sonda was passed, Doug and I started to believe that marriage equality could be possible. After Doug joined the Pride Agenda Board, and through the compelling influence of Alan Ben Capel, he advocated strongly that marriage, not civil unions, should be our community's goal. For many years, Pride Agenda led the campaign for marriage equality in New York, and in 2011 helped form the coalition of advocates that worked with Governor Cuomo to give all New Yorkers the right to marry the person they love. In 2011, however, we all believed it could happen, but no one believed it was inevitable. In February, I and several Pride Agenda board members met with Governor Cuomo in his office in Albany. This was less than 2 months after he took office, and he stressed how important marriage equality was to him and told us that as governor, I have chits which I can use to get the votes I need. We all know that he kept his promise in using those chits, and that without his commitment, he and only he is responsible for equality, marriage equality in New York State today. Calamus was also an early supporter of marriage equality, and particularly early on we supported the AFER case, the American Foundation for Equal Rights, and its Proposition 8 case. At the same time, Edie Windsor and her counsel, Roberta Kaplan, dared to challenge DOMA. We all know the world-changing result of their courage and fortitude. And we also should thank Roberta's law firm, Paul Weiss, for its extraordinary support of the Windsor case and marriage equality. While marriage equality is a watershed event, it has not yet made the LGBT community equal in our society. Many people still live without basic civil rights. Ironically, they can marry in some states, but be fired from their jobs in some states for doing so. That is one reason I thank you for supporting the Pride Agenda, which is such an essential sentinel in New York State to continue to protect the rights we have won and that continues to advocate for those yet to be won, such as surrogacy, trans rights, and funding for so many of the important services our organizations provide. I am also fortunate and privileged to be on the board of the Calamus, where I am constantly impressed by many of the visionary leaders in the LGBT community and the effective organizations they lead. We have been privileged to grant almost $20 million since our founder and funder, Shelley Kaplan, died over 10 years ago. A prime example of our support of such leaders has been our support of SAGE, which, as you know, serves mature members of the LGBT community, a mission that is of not so little interest to the Calamus board, especially as I am almost the youngest board member. Michael Adams, its executive director, came to us a few years ago asking if we would grant SAGE $30,000 in honor of its 30th anniversary. I responded that we could probably do that, but what was that really going to do to make a major difference at SAGE? After listening to Michael's vision of what SAGE could do, Calamus board member Jeff Soroff negotiated a matching grant of $1 million with Michael, which I am proud to say gave SAGE the resources that allowed it to realize its vision of a vital national organization. Another primary interest of Calamus is the plight of homeless and disadvantaged LGBT youth. Carl Siciliano of California, by way of one of the first recipients of the Douglas Jones Award, told us that there was no 24/7 drop-in center for homeless LGBT youth in New York City. Almost amazing to think that from 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon until 10 o'clock on a Monday morning, homeless youth had no place to go other than a subway. And by the way, I think it's the A line that is the favorite line for homeless kids to sleep on because it's the longest line in New York City. Carl convinced us that AFC could create such a center, which they did in less than a year with our significant matching grant. It is an incredible space, and while nothing is good as a real home, it is a safe and secure oasis for many homeless LGBT youth. Thank you, Carl and AFC. We have proved quite good at picking effective people and organizations to fund, and a few other examples of that include Glenda Testone at the NYC LGBT Center, who is renovating a classic building by herself, literally, with her tool belt, and pioneering program, visualizing vital and pioneering programs to keep disadvantaged LGBT youth substance-free, as well as David Klimek of the Long Island LGBT Center, who just announced plans for an LGBT senior housing facility in a collaboration of public and private funding. These are exciting times to be involved in a foundation that works with and invests in such capable people and their dynamic organizations. That should be enough reward, and so I don't really need to receive this reward, although I'm not giving it back. But when you remember that we are giving away someone else's money, which is always more fun than using your own, I don't think I could ask for anything more to do at this point in my life. Finally, on a more personal note, I am always amazed by my partner, Ken Quay, who has made me love again. And in the process, taught me so many things that I apparently not yet learned in the 60-some years I had lived before I met him, such as how to load a dishwasher properly, fold fitted sheets correctly, and fill the toilet paper rack so it folds over, not under. And it's amazing what changes these have made in my life. It's better to learn later than not at all. Anyway, while I am very honored and flattered to receive this award, I have to accept it on behalf of all of the staff and board members at GMHC who did such great work when I was president and made me look so good. On behalf of all the staff members and board members of the Pride Agenda, especially my two co-chairs, Marla Hasner and Norm Simon, who did all the work to make me look presentable both in prose and vocally and visually, and all the other organizations that have done such great things with Calamus funding for the community that enriches us all. Thank you very much.